Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pittman's Pit for my WWE Raw review for the final Raw before WWE Survivor Series this Sunday. Overall, I think it was a great show. It did what it needed to do as far as building up and pressing the stories along for the show that's going to be on Sunday and for getting the fans interested in what's going to happen and curious about about what they're going to see if they do tune into this pay-per-view on Sunday night. Now, it started off a little rocky, I'll admit, and a lot of the first match that they had really showed a lot of problems for me. Like, it was Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens versus Cesaro and Sheamus. They were trying to get people in the 5-on-5 matches that don't get along. They were trying to get them to get along. So, I can understand that logic, and maybe it sort of works for this particular case, but it just also, to me, showed a lot of the problems of where the state of WWE is right now. Because, on the first hand, you have Cesaro and Sheamus, who both of them really should be in the main event right now. They shouldn't be a tag team, because nobody really gives a damn about them as a tag team. They don't really care at all. So, of course, the fans aren't going to care at all. So, why even bother? I'll tell you why. Because they're stubborn. WWE is a pair of stubborn jerks. That's every single person in that company is just stubborn. They don't know how to give the fans what they want, even if it's there right in front of them. And another reason why this match showed problems is through Kevin Owens. He's a great talent, wonderful on the mic, in the ring, has a decent look to him. He's arrogant, snarky, but also really tough. Too bad WWE doesn't seem to be showing that tough side yet. Because every match that he's in, it's either Kevin Owens gets saved by freaking Chris Jericho, or Kevin Owens, in this case, gets bailed out by a begrudging freaking Roman Reigns. Every match he's in, somebody or something has to bail him out. What happened to the days when you could have bad guys like Triple H, like freaking Andre the Giant, like freaking, I don't know, Kurt Angle? Like, these bad guys that, yes, they were bad guys, and yes, they were arrogant and cocky and snarky, and you wanted them to just get punched in the face a million times, because you'd smile if they got punched in the face. But they had a backbone to them, and they were legitimate athletes and presented as such. You would see a guy like Kurt Angle, yes, sometimes he'd back away from his opponent, but it was always seen as calculating, as he's one step ahead of his opponent. And then when he got in the ring with his opponent, he'd be able to make him tap out and beat him just straight up. He wouldn't need all this, help, all these leverages that all the heels in WWE nowadays need. He'd actually be able to get the job done one-on-one on his own straight up. But nowadays, you have Kevin Owens getting saved by Chris Jericho, or in this case, as he did tonight, Roman Reigns, who speared Sheamus, put Kevin Owens on top of him, 1, 2, 3. And that's how the match ends. Reigns and Kevin Owens won, but you can't even say that the champ looked strong. You had to make Reigns, who's another damn problem, not because of anything talent-wise, but because of the fact that the fans just aren't buying him, and yet he consistently is being shoved down their throats. Like, nobody really wants to see Reigns as the champ, Nobody wants to see him as a top-tier competitor right now. He needs a revamp of his character. But instead of changing anything about his character at all, or adding any kind of layers to him, they just stubbornly continue to push, and push, and push, and push, and push. And it's just really exhausting to watch. I like Roman Reigns. I want to like him. But not at the expense of insulting our intelligence. Like, really. It's just not working right now, and yet you just continue to push and to just stubbornly shove him down our throats. WWE, you don't need to do this. You have creative brains. If you put your minds to it, you can figure out something to do with this guy that can change him, that maybe the fans will get behind him eventually. But you just aren't getting there with what you're doing with him right now. And you need to be patient enough to realize that. You need to actually have enough common freaking sense to know that, hey, this guy's getting booed in literally every arena we send him into. This guy is not working right now. We need to change him or we're gonna kill his career. And that's a big problem with WWE, in my opinion. It's a huge problem. If WWE continues with these guys and just doesn't book them properly, doesn't build them the way they need to be built, and just does it their way or the hard way, it's going to be a detriment to not only WWE, but the entire professional wrestling industry is just going to suffer for it. And it's a shame, because it could be so much better than this if they just get their heads out of their backsides. It's really frustrating to see. Next up, after that match, was actually a good one. And actually, this is where the good build-up, in my opinion, started. Where some actual good decisions started being made. You had Sami Zayn and Bo Dallas. I honestly like what Sami Zayn is bringing to the table. He's this tough, underground wrestler that he's this underdog, is what he is. He's what Rey Mysterio was back in the day, except he doesn't wear a mask. Although, for indie fans, he used to, but he doesn't in WWE anymore. So, basically, what he is now is this guy that he's not the biggest guy in the fight, but he's got the heart of a champion, and he's gonna go out there, and he's gonna fight his heart out. And honestly, the crowd has been really getting behind him because they've seen him get knocked down and get knocked down and get knocked down, but he keeps getting back up and back up and back up. No matter what you throw at him, he just won't stay down. And that is the type of character that WWE can use for the future. And this match with Bo Dallas was really no different, because Bo has been really aggressive lately. He's been violent, he's been showing a mean streak to him, and he did that throughout the match. But Sami just wouldn't stay down. He wouldn't go away. And ultimately, it got to a point where, boom, Helluva Kick, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, Sami Zayn will go on to face either The Miz, or he'll go on to face Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series this Sunday. And honestly, I don't know who's going to win. I don't know who's going to win either match, no matter which one ends up on the screen. I don't even know which match we're going to end up with, because Dolph Ziggler and The Miz are going one-on-one for the Intercontinental Championship, on SmackDown tonight, and whoever wins that match will face Sami Zayn at Survivor Series. Personally, just because I'm a fan of the guy, I want to see Dolph Ziggler lose the Intercontinental Championship and pass it to The Miz, because I want to see The Miz versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. The Miz, whether we like him or not, personally, I love the guy. Personally, I think he's this smarmy kind of guy, but the man puts on A-list matches, and literally, he can steal the show almost as good as a Shawn Michaels did back in the day, in my opinion. The dude is just way underrated and way better than anybody really gives him the credit for. So if they did The Miz versus this underground underdog, Sami Zayn, at Survivor Series, put him one-on-one for the championship, I think some magic could be made in that match. And I think it definitely could be a lot better than Dolph Ziggler versus Sami Zayn. I will pass on Zayn and Ziggler if that happens. But Miz and Zayn, that one could be a show stealer. So, here's hoping for the Miz tonight. Here's hoping that we get Miz versus Sami Zayn at Survivor Series. I don't know who's going to win, but I would like to see the Miz beat Sami Zayn if that happens. But I don't even know if it will yet, personally. So, next up, you had the Brian Kendrick, the Cruiserweight Champion, come out and face Sin Cara. Now, they had a segment earlier in the night where basically Sin Cara and the rest of the Cruiserweights were there talking, and they were concerned and worried and excited, and a bunch of different emotions about the potential of, are they going to end up after Survivor Series being on Raw or on SmackDown? Because Kalisto from SmackDown is facing the Brian Kendrick from Raw for the Cruiserweight Championship. And whichever brand wins, not only does their superstar win the Cruiserweight Championship, but the entire division will be moved to that brand. It will either stay on Monday Night Raw where it is, or if Kalisto wins, it'll be moved to SmackDown. Personally, I want Kalisto to win that match. Just because I feel like Monday Night Raw isn't really a good fit. They haven't really been showcasing the Cruiserweights very much, like they should be, but I don't really know if that's Raw's fault. It just doesn't seem to be working on Monday Night Raw. And I feel like if they give the SmackDown writers control of the Cruiserweights, it'll be a better fit, and it'll just work out better. And the stars will actually have a chance to shine. They'll have a chance to actually, do some damn work on SmackDown. But, basically, these Cruiserweights were talking, and then Brian Kendrick comes up, and he says, fear not, I am your leader, and I will not let you down, and blah, blah, blah. Basically saying that the Cruiserweight should believe in him to retain the championship and seal their fate on Monday Night Raw. But Sin Cara, who used to be teamed up with Kalisto, they used to be in a tag team called the Lucha Dragons. So Sin Cara speaks up and says, A, why should we believe in you? And B, Kalisto would make a better champion than you. So Brian Kendrick takes offense to this. He says, hey, you're actually cheering for a SmackDown guy, you're on Raw. So that makes you a traitor, and boom, the match is made. It's another great showing by the Cruiserweights, but they didn't have a lot of time to the match, so they didn't really get to showcase as much as they should have. And overall, I just think it kind of fell flat in the end. I mean, you had Sin Cara do a couple good spots, and you have Brian Kendrick, like, he has a lot of charisma, and he did show that off with the time that he was given. But they just weren't given a lot of time in the match, in my opinion. Ultimately, Captain's Hook by Brian Kendrick, and he twisted the mask that Sin Cara was wearing, so he couldn't see, couldn't really breathe, and ultimately Sin Cara had to tap out. I think it was a pretty good match, but again, I'm just really pushing for the Cruiserweights to move to SmackDown, where I think they'll be given a better chance. I just don't know if that's where Raw is headed. Like, I don't know if that's what WWE wants. I don't know if they even care about the Cruiserweights. But I think they should, because, like, in WWE, you know, the Cruiserweights used to be a huge thing. They had a full division, ironically enough, on SmackDown. They had people like Billy Kidman. They had people like Rey Mysterio, Jamie Noble. They had Ultimo Dragon. They had Tajiri, Spike Dudley. They had Nunzio. They had all these different cruiserweights who could do this insane stuff that you'd never seen before. Chavo Guerrero. They had everything, and everyone got a chance to shine in their own way. They were given the time, they were given the chance to have their own personalities, and overall it was just a lot better than the version of the Cruiserweights that we're seeing now. So I want to move them to SmackDown to see if it'll recapture that magic. Here's hoping it would. Next up, in my opinion, I know there's a good few segments after this, but this next one was clearly the match of the night. The Goldberg and Brock Lesnar face-off. Now, I gotta admit, when Goldberg first came back, I regret that I didn't do a review of that Raw, because literally, the second he came back, it was like my arms just had, the hairs were standing straight up. I had goosebumps from here to here, literally just straight along. And it was just a moment that I'll never forget. And they've done a good bit of video packaging and interviews and everything that they really needed to do to recapture that and to capitalize on it. The same for Brock. Like, every time he's in the ring, it's a big freaking deal. Every time he's on my TV, it's a big freaking deal. So, the fact that we're gonna see these two bulls just clash horns is something that does have a lot of drawing power, and it has a lot of staying power for me. So, I'm gonna really be looking forward to this match. It started the segment with a bunch of security guards in the ring because Mick Foley had ordered them there because he didn't want these two monsters, Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, to just tear each other apart. He wanted to actually, get to Survivor Series. Which, if you leave them to themselves, Lesnar and Goldberg would destroy each other and there would be no Survivor Series match. So ultimately, these guards are in the ring, and first Goldberg comes out, then Lesnar comes out, and they're just standing, they're just standing in the ring on opposite sides of it, staring each other down, pacing back and forth, and then it gets kind of funny, I'll admit. It was freaking hilarious. You got Paul Heyman next to Brock Lesnar, and he's in the ring and he's trying to do the, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, blah, 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 blah. That thing that he does, every single time he's in the ring, introducing himself. introducing his beast, Brock Lesnar. But literally, the second he got my name out, he was cut off by Goldberg, who literally just said, shut the hell up. And then Heyman tried again, and he said, yeah, shut up, and get the rent-a-cops out of the ring, so the two real men in this ring can actually go at it. And then Heyman did something very stupid. Shouldn't have done this. He made a remark about Goldberg's family. Again, he said, look, you might want to rethink this, because if you don't, you're going to be victimized, you're going to be beaten, you're going to be brutalized to such an extent that you're not going to be recognizable. You're going to be so unrecognizable that basically, he said Brock Lesnar is going to look at Goldberg's son, and Goldberg's son is going to call Brock Lesnar daddy. And that pretty much just set him off. He's like, you make one more remark about my kid, and, well, basically I'm going to rip your head off, and I'm going to feed it to Brock. So, Heyman just kind of, gave off that he was scared, and who could blame him? But he gave off that he was scared, and said, yep, well, that was my bad, my apologies, I shouldn't have raised my voice at you, backing off like a coward, because he's not the freaking 6 foot, 300-pound beast. So, he said, if you're not going to show any respect to Brock Lesnar, at least show some respect to your family. And then, well, things got real. Because the crowd starts chanting Goldberg. They start chanting louder and louder. Brock tells him to shut up. And Heyman tells Goldberg to walk away from the match. Because if he doesn't, basically, Brock Lesnar is going to beat him up. And he's going to beat him up severely. So, at this point, Brock pushes one of the security guards. And then, pushes another. Goldberg freaking takes out 2 more. The other 3 that were left in the ring just bolt. Because they're basically seeing their comrades, their buddies, go down one by one because these 2 Goliaths are in the ring knocking them out. So they just kind of like, sorry about that. So basically, they're looking around the ring and they're like, okay, screw this, we're out. So, as soon as they're out of the ring, Heyman bolts. Because if there's not like 5-10 security guards separating him from Goldberg, he doesn't want to be in the ring right now. So Heyman bolts, the security guards bolt, and then freaking Lesnar stands outside the ring, and Goldberg rips off his shirt, Brock rips off his shirt, and then Goldberg's, goading him in, like, come on, get in the ring so I can kick your ass, kind of thing. And Brock looks like he's gonna get in the ring, but ultimately he drops down and starts walking away. And they start building him up that it's the first time that they've ever seen Brock Lesnar back away from anybody. Which, I gotta say, I don't really know if I fully like. I don't fully know how I feel about it. Because I didn't see, if they hadn't mentioned that last part, this would have been a perfect segment. But, I don't really think that they should have said that Brock was backing away. Like, that he looked intimidated by Goldberg. Because yes, that makes Goldberg look like a monster. But it also makes another monster, in freaking Brock Lesnar, look like a bit of a punk. And you don't want to do that. You want to have these guys look like equal monsters. You want to have them look like, okay, either one of these could completely destroy everything. So, that's my only gripe about that. I think they should have said something along the lines of, Brock was picking his spot, and he doesn't want to do this right now. He wants to do it, like, when the big money is going to be on the table at Survivor Series. He's scouting his opponent for Survivor Series. He doesn't want to get into it right now. If they'd said something like that, I think it would have been better. But overall, good segment, really good. So, now the ball was starting to roll. Next up, you had an 8-man tag match. The Golden Truth, R-Truth, and Goldust teamed with the Shining Stars, Primo and Epico, versus the Club, which is Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and the team of Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, Big Cass. Before the match started, there was this segment where basically there was the Club and Enzo and Cass were talking, and the Club was basically saying, leave all your comedy act out of this and just let us do our thing. Let us ass kickers, go out there and kick ass. And you guys can just sit back and, watch us kind of thing. Just stay out of the way. So when the match starts, Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, they start doing their intro. My name is Enzo Amore. This is Big Cass. He's 7 foot tall. You can't teach that. Yada, yada, yada. We've heard it before. It's awesome. But when they were going to do the soft part, and there's only one word to describe you, S-A-W-F-T, soft, they got cut off by the Club. So, then you had the Golden Truth and Primo and Epico come out, and the match was honestly pretty standard. But it did have this one part that I think is kind of cool, where at the end of the match, the Club hit their finish with a Magic Killer, and then they were pointing up to Enzo Amore to go to the top rope to hit the big splash that he does. And then, right when it looked like they were going to let him hit it, to capitalize on it, well, Luke Gallows basically pinned the guy that needed to be pinned. I don't remember which one it was, but it wasn't really important. But he basically got the pinfall and left Enzo standing up there looking like an idiot, pretty much. Made him look like a goof. And that was, well, awkward, but honestly kind of funny. It was kind of fun to see, them just mess with Enzo and Cass. And I'm interested to see how that tag team match goes. But overall, not that much. But it should be an okay match. Got some good tag teams in. Next up, we had the New Day, which is Biggie, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. And they faced a team of Braun Strowman, Chris Jericho, and Seth Rollins. Great match. Really dang good match. The New Day, they came out and they did their little plug of their merchandise, like they're gonna do. It's Christmas season, so of course you're gonna plug your merchandise, your t-shirts, your weird cereal that you got, your socks that they have for the New Day. They're gonna plug all the merchandise that's out for the New Day. And I thought it was, well, cheap, but really funny. And what else do you expect from the New Day at this point? Like, really, what else do you expect? They're the freaking New Day. So, the match was really interesting to me because of, well, Braun Strowman, really. Because, like, he really shined in this match. I've never seen a guy that big move that fast and be that athletic and agile. I don't remember the last time I saw that. It was really freaking cool. Like, they had him in this match, even when he wasn't the legal man in it, just completely destroying everybody and everything. It was ridiculous. And he did this one spot where freaking Seth Rollins gets in position to do a pedigree to Xavier Woods, but Chris Jericho tags in, so Rollins gets out of the ring, and then freaking Jericho tags in Strowman and does a move, but then throws Woods right into Strowman for like this big power slam, and Strowman gets the pin at 1, 2, 3. So then after the match, Strowman is just kind of standing there looking big and monstrous like he should be. And Rollins and Jericho are just standing there and they're bickering. They're arguing. Next thing you know, boom. Rollins just pedigrees freaking Jericho. Why is it so hard for me to talk today for some reason? So he pedigrees Chris Jericho. And then he just kind of looks at Strowman and shrugs, and then him and Strowman just leave. And that's it. I thought it was kind of fun, and I really like how they're actually trying to do something different with Strowman. He's this big, larger-than-life personality, and he's something that they haven't seen before. Like that they're actually trying to venture out into new people. So, I like that. I wish they would do more of it. So, that was good for him. I really want to see more from Strowman. I think he could be a good Intercontinental or even World Champion in the future. But you can't just push him straight to the moon. Just keep going at the pace that you're going right now. Don't overdo it yet. Just keep moving him up the card, let him show what he's worth, and then go from there. Next up, you had a promo package, commercial basically, for a new women's wrestler. Well, she's not new, but they've repackaged her. There used to be this girl named Emma, who was in the wrestling business, and he started as a couple different gimmicks. First, he was a dancing kind of gimmick where there'd be all these bubbles all over the place, and he'd kind of do this, like, her hands would be out, and she'd be like, you know, moving them different ways, and like, the crowd would try and get behind her. It was actually pretty popular, but then she got suspended, and they basically rebooked her as this tough, no-nonsense villain that got even more popular with fans, and now they're booking her as something completely different again, as basically this model, supermodel type, and that's it. That's all they've really shown. Like, literally, every package, they're calling her Emelina now. And the only thing that they show, granted, it's true. She is beautiful, but that's it. That's all they show. Just, hey, we got a hot girl. No kidding, Sherlock. You've got a locker room full of hot girls, but for the love of God, you don't do this with every single other person. Why you do this with her? She can actually wrestle. Like, Emma's one of the best wrestlers they got on the roster, and they're booking her as just, she's hot. That's it. Like, why? That's a head scratch for me. I don't get it. Why would you have somebody with the talent that Emma has, and then just book her as she's just a pretty face with a nice body? And that's it. It annoys me, and frankly, it's very, very disappointing. Because somebody that I've seen do all this athletic, impressive stuff and have a lot of charisma just be reduced to her looks, and that's it. Especially when you've shown that you can get behind the women and you can actually care about them and show that they're more than their bodies. In people like Bailey and Sasha Banks and Charlotte, Dana Brooke, Natalia, Naomi, Asuka, freaking Alexa Bliss, um, Natalia, Carmella. All these women are not just bodies. They actually have personalities that you show. And it just kind of bugs me that Emma, who could be the same type of wrestler as these other women, she could be presented as just as good. It just doesn't look like they're going to. It looks like they're just gonna show her as, hey, she's got a nice body. Like, literally everything, every picture that they put in that package, it was just a bunch of still pictures, is all it was. And every single one of them, she was pretty much half naked in it. She was in bikinis and, stuff like that. It really bugs me that I've seen someone that can wrestle and that has talent and actually has worth to her. It just kind of bugs me that someone like that has been reduced to, he's sexy, that's it. But I'm starting to repeat myself and basically say the same thing. So, I'm just gonna end that rant there. But WWE, you better have a plan B for this. You better have something, like, to actually do this girl justice. Because if really you're about to reduce her to what it looks like you're about to reduce her to, shame on ya. Literally, shame on you for that. For doing that to Emma. But after that commercial was off, you had the Survivor Series Summit, which was Team Raw and Team SmackDown meeting, and including the general managers and commissioners. And basically, it was this promo battle, is what it ended up being. So, it started with just Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon, Daniel Bryan, and Mick Foley in the ring. And Shane and Stephanie were doing most of the talking. And Shane McMahon explained that the reason he's one of the competitors now in the Survivor Series 5-on-5 for the men is because he wants to be a leader by example and show what a fighting leader does. And Stephanie just wasn't having any of that. She was like, nope, it's about your ego. You're stealing the spotlight from your younger competitors because that's all Shane really does, is he'll pander to the crowd and he freaking just uses that as a guise so that he can have all of the spotlight on him. And frankly, Steph kind of had a bit of a point with that. I hate to say it, but she kind of have a bit of a point with that. I digress. So, then Shane said something basically like that isn't about, you know, that basically his ego is nothing compared to hers, because he's actually threatening her competitors that their lives, their jobs could be on the line if they lose, which he says, I'm rewarding people for competing in these matches. If they win, I will reward my competitors with probably championship matches, in the future for their division, is probably what he's going to do there. And then Team Raw comes out. You had Chris Jericho, you had Kevin Owens, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. And basically, Foley and Stephanie McMahon get out of the ring. They leave Team Raw in the ring with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. They surround the two of them, and Shane just says, you guys don't really think I came alone, did you? And then out of the crowd, here comes freaking James Ellsworth, the mascot for Team SmackDown. Here comes freaking AJ Styles. Here comes freaking Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, and here comes Dean Ambrose. So they all come down, and then Chris Jericho starts going off. He starts going off, and it was gold. He's like, you know what? I don't like you, Shane. You just made the list. And then he's like, and then of course AJ Styles starts mouthing off to Kevin Owens, and Chris Jericho's like, AJ Styles, you just made the list. And then he looks at his haircut and like, what the heck is up with that soccer mom haircut? And then he's like, soccer mom haircut, you just made the list. And then the funniest thing of the night happened. He just looked at James Ellsworth, this scrawny, no chin having, short as a stack of dimes, MF. Like, this guy just has nothing to him at all. He shouldn't even be out there. And freaking Jericho just looks at him like, and he literally just looks at him and exclaims pretty much what everyone who only watches Raw was thinking. What the hell is that? and and he literally looks at him like, I've seen a lot of weird looking guys. That's one weird looking guy. And then he's like, you know what? I don't like people that look weird. You know what happens? What happens to people that look weird? Weird looking guy? You just made a list. And then Ellsworth, he's just like, hey, wait, what did I do here? Then we get a face off between Strowman and Bray Wyatt, where Bray says that he's going to destroy what he created because, well, basically Bray says he's going to destroy Strowman for turning on the Wyatt family, even though he got drafted, which was kind of weird, but I kind of get what he was saying. Like, hey, you went along with this draft. You turned on the Wyatt family, and you tried to reinvent yourself after, instead of, like, sticking with us. So, he's like, basically, I'm gonna destroy you. Bray is like, Braun. And then Randy Orton steps in, And there's this face-off between Strowman and Orton. Then there's this debate about who's the better champion between Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, which got a big pop. And honestly, it got me invested. I want to see these guys fight. And then, well, eventually the punches just started being thrown. And freaking Braun Strowman takes out Shane McMahon. This one's taking out that one. This one going after this one. It's complete bedlam. It's complete and utter mayhem between these guys. But ultimately, what ends up happening is Team Raw battles back and they clear the ring of Team SmackDown. And ultimately, you get Team Raw on Monday Night Raw. Imagine that. Standing tall. And it's all because freaking the Shield played a factor in this. And you had, I think it was AJ Styles that got powerbombed. Freaking Seth Rollins lifts up AJ Styles onto Roman Reigns' shoulders, and they double powerbomb them out of the ring onto everyone else from SmackDown, taking them all out. Team Raw stands in the ring. Rollins, Owens, Reigns. Rollins, Owens, Reigns. Rollins, Owens, Reigns. Strowman and Jericho. Right. Strowman and Jericho. Right. I don't know why I forgot that. My apologies for that. So, Rollins, Owens, Reigns, Strowman, and Jericho all stand in the ring, a united front to stand against SmackDown, who are clamored outside the ring as the show goes off the air. Overall, I think the show did a lot to build up to WWE Survivor Series, but honestly, what I think is going to be an even better show is tonight, WWE SmackDown Live. It's their 900th episode. You have the Intercontinental Championship being defended. Champion Dolph Ziggler will go one-on-one against The Miz. You have the return of The Cutting Edge, hosted by Edge, WWE Hall of Famer. And you have the return of The Undertaker. This is going to be a great show. Please come back to Pittman's Pit tomorrow night as I review SmackDown 900. Until then, this is Jonathan the Hot Wheels Pittman signing off. So long for now from the pit.